Good afternoon, and welcome back to Fictional History 101. For those of you just joining us, I'm Professor Aaron Johnson. Currently, we're covering the history of Mobile Suit Gundam, specifically the One-Year War. Last class, we briefly talked about the start of the One-Year War, going from January to September. From Side 3, Zeon had launched a brutal surprise attack against the Earth Federation using a combination of chemical and nuclear weapons to wipe out the colonies of the sides closest to the Principality of Zeon. They would go on to drop a colony on the Earth, destroying Sydney, before defeating the bulk of the Earth Federation's space forces at Loom. Zeon would even go on to invade the Earth using new mobile suits designed for battle on the land and seas of Earth. With Zeon mobile suits granting the Principality almost complete dominance of the battlefield, it would take an equally powerful weapon for the Earth Federation to stand a chance in the One-Year War. With that said, let's focus on the Earth Federation's plan to counter the Zeon mobile suit, Operation V. Before we can really talk about Operation V, we need to go back to what would form the basis of this plan. Before Zeon began producing mobile suits in combat roles, they had used mobile workers as their template. They adapted the bipedal design of the workers and focused on the two strengths it had, its agility in space, and its ability to use many different weapons with its humanoid hand. Likewise, the Earth Federation had a similar semi-humanoid machine, the early type gun tank. This was a large tracked machine. Its lower body was comprised of a pair of treads or tracks, while the upper portion was similar to the mobile worker. It had two large arms and a head for the gunner. The gun tank's hands had 4 large barrel machine guns built into them, while 2 large bore cannons sat on the shoulders. Aside from the vaguely humanoid shape of the upper body, this would bear little resemblance to the much more agile suits that Zeon would produce. The early type gun tank was meant more for psychological impact rather than practical use. By and large, it was meant for crowd control and support of more conventional forces inside the space colonies. In theory, its long shoulder-mounted cannons would be able to defeat any heavier equipment rebelling colonists would use, while its large-caliber machine guns mounted on its arms would serve well in eliminating light resistance. However, its large size meant that it could be seen from a long distance away, and its more powerful weapons would have difficulty engaging targets in the confined spaces of the colonies. As a prominent face of Earth's oppressive policies, it's fitting that Zeon felt this was an ideal target to test their early mobile workers against. Just as their mobile suits would go on to dominate Federation military equipment, they found their mobile workers easily overpowered the awkwardly built early-type gun tanks. These early-type gun tanks would not see much use once the One-Year War began, as they were quickly overlooked for more useful machines, such as the mainstay of the Earth Federation armies, the Type 61 tank. The earliest mobile suit proposal the Earth Federation considered was circa UC-78. Seeing that Zeon had begun building mobile suits, the Earth Federation was interested in pursuing similar technology. Anaheim Electronics, a prominent Federation manufacturer, began producing some early prototype mobile suits for the Earth Federation. However, while Zeon had built their mobile suits as a general counter to the Earth Federation arsenal, giving their mobile suits a variety of weapons and equipment that could be used to counter anything from battleships to infantry, Earth focused on defeating the Zeon fleet. These early mobile suit prototypes, named the RX-7701 gun cannon, would be somewhat similar to the early type gun tank, in that they both featured a large, shoulder-mounted cannon. However, these mirrored the Zeon mobile suits in that they were bipedal machines, and also used handheld machine guns. Interestingly, these suits had a rough claw-like appendage on one arm and a machine gun on the other, rather than the hands that would prove so useful on the Zeon mobile suits. While these claw hands would be able to grip the machine guns they were provided, and in some cases shields, they would lack the range of weaponry available to the Zeon suits. In much the same way that they underestimated the usefulness of Zeon's mobile suits, they did not understand the role the agile mobile suits would fill. Zeon prepared its military with the use of mobile suits in mind, adapting cruisers and battleships to carry mobile suits into battle. They had begun to shift the focus of war away from the battleship and towards mobile suits. While Zeon focused on means of delivering their mobile suits where they could inflict the most damage, extremely close range, the Earth Federation suits had more of a conventional design. With its large shoulder cannon and machine guns, these prototypes would mirror the same kind of role as the Type 61 tank, only in space. However, fighting in space is not the same as fighting on Earth, as the Federation would quickly discover. Tem Ray, the chief engineer of Anaheim Electronics, and a student of Dr. Minovsky, argued that the RX-77s would not be enough to counter the more versatile Zeon mobile suits. Instead, he proposed more complex suits, able to use a variety of powerful weapons in order to counter both mobile suits and battleships. However, the Earth Federation elected to ignore him, continuing with the development of the RX-7701 gun cannon. In UC-78, Dr. Minovsky decided to defect from the Principality of Zeon to the Earth Federation. In response, 12 of the prototype gun cannons were deployed to rescue Dr. Minovsky and escort him back to the Earth Federation. However, while trying to escape from the moon, Dr. Minovsky was attacked by a group of early Zeon mobile suits. These mobile suits were piloted by some of the best pilots Zeon had, namely the Black Tri-Stars, the 3 pilots that would go on to capture General Revel at the Battle of Loom, Shar Aznable, who would also make a name for himself at Loom, and Ramba Ral, the son of Jimba Ral and last survivor of the Ral family. Zeon's early Zaku-1s, as well as Ramba Ral's high-performance prototype, proved to be superior to the Federation's prototype gun cannons. While the Zakus were nimble and able to easily move about the battlefield, the gun cannon was too slow and cumbersome to effectively engage the Zeon mobile suits. Once the Zeon mobile suits had closed distance with the gun cannons, this difference was even more pronounced. Without a suitable means of defending against the Zakus at close range, the gun cannons were helpless against the close-range Heat Hawks, the handheld weapons carried by Zakus, and even the arms and legs of the Zeon mobile suits. The Zakus completely wiped out the Federation gun cannons, in addition to killing the defecting Dr. Minovsky. With the superiority of the Zeon mobile suits so clearly demonstrated, the Earth Federation would go back to Temre's proposal and begin evaluating what would be needed to create a high-performance mobile suit that could compete with Zeon Zakus. April of UC-79, Operation V officially began development of the Federation mobile suits. Much of the development would take place in a colony of Side 7, far away from Jabro. Operation V was split into 3 rough plans: the gun tank, the gun cannon, and most important of all, the Gundam. These 3 designs would serve to not only complement one another, but also offer different avenues for the Earth Federation's mobile suit designs to be further developed. The prototype gun tank and gun cannons were less new suits and served more as improvements to the existing designs the Federation had. The gun tank's shoulder-mounted cannons were upgraded to 180mm cannons, and the lighter machine guns mounted on its arms were replaced with 4-barreled missile launchers. Likewise, the gun cannon received heavier shoulder-mounted cannons and hands that mirrored the true hands of the Zeon mobile suits. Both the gun cannon and the gun tank would receive heavier armor as well. While the gun tank and gun cannon would be improvements of existing designs, the 3rd prototype would be a newly designed mobile suit. More agile than the gun cannon and gun tank, the Gundam was meant to be a close-range mobile suit. While it lacked the built-in shoulder weapons of the other prototypes, the Gundam would be able to close distance with Zeon forces and engage them in much the same way that the Zeon mobile suits had done. Between the 3 units, the Earth Federation had prepared to engage Zeon forces at any distance. The gun tank would serve as a long-range, artillery-focused suit. The gun cannon would serve in a mid-range capacity, and the Gundam would be the close-range unit. While the gun cannon and Gundam would be able to use a variety of weapons the Federation had designed for them, including machine guns and bazookas, there was another set of weapons that would come to be associated with the Gundam and Operation V as a whole. During development, a technological breakthrough would bring one of the most powerful weapons to the Earth Federation. Advances in batteries and capacitors allowed these mobile suits to power and fire miniaturized beam weapons. This would give the prototype gun cannon and Gundam the power of a battleship's megaparticle cannon, with the agility of a mobile suit. The Federation expanded on this technology, producing not only a beam rifle for the Gundam and gun cannon, but also beam sabers, which served as close-range weapons for the Gundam. There was little on either side that could withstand a megaparticle cannon, and almost any impact from one would destroy or cripple a mobile suit. These weapons gave an incredible edge to the Gundam and gun cannon, allowing them to engage mobile suits and battleships with ease. Along with the mobile suit prototypes produced by Operation V, the Earth Federation saw the need to produce a dedicated carrier for their newly produced mobile suits. To this end, they began development of the Pegasus Class assault carrier. The Pegasus Class was not intended to replace the Salamis Class cruisers or Magellan Class battleships, but rather serve an entirely new role, as a dedicated mobile suit carrier. The Pegasus Class featured 2 launch bays for mobile suits, complete with catapult decks. It would be armed with anti-aircraft weapons, as well as both megaparticle and conventional cannons. The Pegasus class used a Minovsky craft system for propulsion, alongside its nuclear jet engines. The Minovsky craft system used Minovsky particles to allow the Pegasus Class ships to float along the ground, as well as to leave Earth without the need for additional boosters or equipment. This would allow it to operate freely on both the Earth as well as in space. While differences existed between the various ships of the Pegasus Class, the most commonly known ship is the White Base, which was the first of the Pegasus Class ships to be completed. In September, with the mobile suit prototypes completed, the Federation deployed the newly completed assault carrier White Base to collect the mobile suits from Side 7. It's impossible to overstate the importance of Operation V. Prior to Operation V, the Earth Federation did not have a feasible counter to Zeon mobile suits. While they could be destroyed by massed fire and in ambushes, typically the Zeon mobile suits were too agile for the weapons utilized by the Federation. The Earth Federation needed a suitable counter to the nimble Zaku's, and the mobile suits produced by Operation V would serve as excellent tools for that purpose. It's important to keep in mind that the goal of Operation V wasn't just to produce a set of super weapons, but rather a feasible idea of what mobile suits would work in the battlefields the Earth Federation found themselves in. These 3 mobile suits were not the end goal of Operation V, but rather the designs that would come after them. Mass-produced variants of the prototypes would be developed following the successes of the Operation V prototypes. These mass-produced models would not be as robust or as powerful as their prototype versions. The mass-produced gun tanks would be very similar to their prototype forms, however they had lighter armor, smaller shoulder cannons, and had an improvement in being able to turn the torso. Likewise, the gun cannon would lose one of its shoulder cannons, instead mounting a smaller cannon on the right shoulder. It would also have reduced armor and would typically not see use of the more expensive beam rifles, instead being equipped with 90 to 100mm machine guns. Most notable was the mass-produced mobile suit spawned from the Gundam. The Gundam's design would go on to be used in the production of the Federation's primary mobile suit during the One-Year War, the GM. The GM would lose the heavier armor of the Gundam, as well as only being equipped with a single beam saber compared to the pair equipped on the Gundam. Typically, the GM would be equipped with a beam spray gun, which was a much less powerful version of the Gundam and gun cannon's beam rifle. However, this was still a powerful weapon that would give the GM an advantage against Zeon mobile suits. While production lagged on the beam spray guns, many GMs would be equipped with machine guns similar to the mass-produced gun cannon. Even with its many downgrades from the Gundam, the GM was still a match and in some ways superior to many Zeon mobile suits. Mass-produced models of the gun tank and gun cannon would see use during the One-Year War and for years afterwards, while the GM would go on to spawn a number of successors and variants for decades afterwards. These mass-produced suits would not see use in the war until roughly November of UC-79. By this time, Zeon had begun to replace their Zaku's with other mobile suits, such as the Rickdom. However, these suits did not provide enough of an advantage against the GM. Operation V would be discovered on September 18th, UC-79, by Zeon forces led by Commander Char Aznable. While many of the prototypes were destroyed by the Zeon mobile suits, the White Base in one of each prototype was able to escape Side 7 and head back to Earth to deliver their data to Earth Federation headquarters. We'll go into the exploits of the White Base and the feud their ace pilot, Amuro Ray, would have with Char Aznable in another class. In the end, Operation V would be a rousing success. The mobile suits produced would greatly outclass many Zeon designs, while the Gundam itself wouldn't be matched until nearly the end of the war. In addition, it proved very demoralizing to Zeon forces, as the Gundam gained great renown on the battlefield. Operation V can be seen as the beginning of Earth's counterattack against the Zeon forces that had conquered nearly the entire Earth, as well as the turning point in the One-Year War. Operation V represented more than just adding a new weapon to Earth's arsenal, but a growing understanding of the conflicts of the coming years. The Earth Federation had produced the updated, but still largely antiquated gun tank, the modernized gun cannon, and the superb Gundam, and showed that they understood what they needed to do in order to win the war. While they had been slow to understand the importance of the mobile suit, they would adapt and find themselves fielding some of the most versatile mobile suits of the war, as well as producing the first true mobile suit carrier. In addition, they would quickly understand the advantage a beam-capable mobile suit would grant them both on Earth and in space. Our lecture has gone on for a little while, so we'll call it here for today. Next class, we'll talk about the turning tide in Earth's favor. Be sure to read up on the deaths of Garmazabi, Operation Odessa, and the first major deployments of Earth Federation mobile suits. As always, thank you for coming to class, and if you have any questions, please feel free to send an email to fictionalhistory101@gmail.com. Take care everyone, and please, don't forget to study. The intro and outro music for this class is Labyrinth by Enrico Altavia, courtesy of freesoundtrackmusic.com. Thank you again for listening to today's class. It's been fun making these, and I'm looking forward to some of the upcoming episodes I have in mind. If you have any comments, please feel free to email me at fictionalhistory101@gmail.com or leave a review on iTunes. Thanks again for listening, and have a great night.